I'm joined now by Keith Cowling, editor of NASAWatch.com. He's also an astrobiologist and former rocket scientist. Always great to see you there.
Good to see you again.
Well, Keith, bring us up to speed and your thoughts on China's Shenzhou 14 mission so far and a possible spacewalk in the future there.
Well, when I worked at NASA, I helped design what became the International Space Station. So every single picture and video I see, I'm looking really close to see, oh, that looks familiar, because space stations have a certain similarity, and a lot of what's going on in there is very familiar just by looking at it there. So I've always felt that the more space stations, the merrier. And I don't know, for me, like I said, I'm just a space geek and a space station geek at that.
Well, you and I have talked about China's plans for a manned mission to the moon, but first, its Lunar Rover has been exploring the moon. Where do things stand there?
Well, it's like anything that's well designed, as this is, it's exceeded expectations. And the various missions, not just this rover, but the earlier ones together, have taken what was learned from the early American and Soviet missions and expanded further, and of course gone to the far side of the moon, which nobody had done yet. So it's always sort of standing on the shoulders of those who you came before, and it's provided some surprises that we didn't know about the far side of the moon. So learning is learning, and China's now a big part of how we're learning about the moon.
A lot of eyes on the United States, with NASA planning to further its lunar plans with the Artemis 1. This anticipated launch postponed today. Talk to us about the reasons why. Some of us do know that scrubs are fairly common, but just walk us through what happened earlier.
Well, it's rocket science, and when I worked at NASA, I probably tried to see twice as many shuttle launches as I saw, and it's just sort of the nature of the beast. This rocket is actually derived from shuttle capability, so again, it's not surprising. I don't think anybody's shocked. It's the first time we've ever, brought this rocket that close to launch. It may happen again. We may see a chance Friday. It may take a few weeks. We don't know, but it's a big, complex rocket. It's called a test flight for a reason, and you want to make sure you can get all this stuff working properly so that you could then put people on top. So it's all good, even though everybody was disappointed. It's all good.
Yeah, so this was not a weather-related reason. This was something mechanical, something that wasn't absolutely perfect and ready for launch.
It might have been weather. As the problem progressed through the day, there were storms coming in and there was lightning and so forth. So if they had fixed it, they might have said, well, great, we fixed it, but now the weather's no good. So it's Florida, and that's how the weather is. So, but as was mentioned on your intro piece, sometimes the requirements for a flight with people on board are far stricter than those without people on board. So I don't think today was in the cards for that rocket, but we've got many days ahead to try again.
Yeah, good point. And this is all leading up to the United States and its goal to get back on the moon. Talk to us about the timing for that. Why now? Why back to the moon for this moment for NASA?
Well, I'm 66. I grew up during the Apollo era, and I remember it was everybody stopped what they were doing back in 1969 to watch people walk on the moon. Now, more than half of humanity has never seen that. They've never seen a person walk live on another world. So for billions of people, this is going to be their first Apollo. And so that just is exciting in and of itself. But why haven't we done it in 50 years? I'm the frustrated senior now who would like to say, I wish we'd done it sooner, but we are. We're going back, and we're not going back alone. It's not just the bilateral, U.S. versus the Soviets thing now. The American program is actually, there's a European stage on this. There's 3 mannequins inside, 2 are from Europe. And when we finally get that mission to land on the moon, there'll be Canadians and Europeans and Japanese on board. We may well be waving to China's mission going one way or the other at the same time. And so this time it's getting closer to all of humanity going back to the moon, not just one government employee or another from another country.
All right, we'll see what happens later this week. Keith Cowling, always great to see you. Thanks for joining us.
My pleasure.